back again. Rodney's back. Tell a friend, and he's so happy to be here. You can tell there's a joy on his face. Also, I can see that. Yes, there's that, but also tired. Yeah, I mean, I can see some tired. You've been doing a lot of campaigning, I know, the last few days.
Yeah, it's been a lot. I'm doing a lot of work. Gem City this past weekend, and then right into inking pages for a very hot deadline.
Ah.
So my that would absolutely destroyed my back with 2 nights of a really shitty bed in a hotel. Yeah, so getting out of bed yesterday and today have been a chore, to say the
Big
least.
hug. All I can give you is a big imaginary Dalmatian man style hug. I know it's probably not what you want right now, but I mean, you probably want like a cold compress.
Although I'm better now, but 3 hours ago that would have hurt.
Oh yeah, you're like, why do I do this to myself? Like, why? And then you're like, oh yeah, I got this Kickstarter campaign and stuff, and I'm making a comics career and stuff.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
What else would I be doing?
Surfing. I could totally see you surf. I somehow could actually totally see you try.
I don't know, man. I'm too worried about them sharks.
Okay.
I could live the surfer lifestyle.
Yes. I totally could see it.
Yeah.
When I get to your age, which isn't that far away, I'm hoping I'm on a beach. I got a fishing pole and some boozahol and a pretty girl. That's pretty much that's all I really want.
I'll join you.
Hopefully
I'm still around.
You'll be like, that sounds like a pretty good way of life. Sign me
Whoever
up.
gets there first, extend the offer to the next one.
Done. Okay. But I got a rule. If the guy you invite is loud, besides if you get there first, invite me, cool. But if I invite you and you invite somebody else, make sure they're not too loud. Just if they're too loud, they're going in the ocean.
Yeah.
Okay. Deal?
No. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
The older I get, the more annoying loud people are. So.
Yeah. Well, no. I'm screwed then. I am just screwed. I'm screwed. Okay. So listen, be gentle when you toss me in the ocean. That's all I'm gonna say. It's like, Josh.
It's all good. You're the good kind of loud. There's good loud and there's fucking annoying loud.
Yes. Well, no. The difference is I actually have something to say most of the time, which is
Right.
actually me, right? And some of these people are just loud for the sake of being loud.
Right. They look at me loud. I have no patience for that.
Yeah, and then you're asking, why are you doing this? Like, what did I do to you? Like, why are you ruining my party? Right.
Yep. I'm with you.
Yeah. So was that Tina that walked by there?
Was it a ghost?
I don't know. You look like you were looking off to the distance there for a
second.
Oh
no. TV's on and it got Shark Week on, and it looked like a girl almost fell in the water when they were feeding sharks. I was like, what?
Oh, okay, yeah, Shark Week.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, I used to be really big into. When I was like a little kid, I used to watch all those old, remember those really really old documentaries about sharks and stuff like that. It's just like it's evolved now. They know all the flashy stuff people want to see, whereas back in the day, I got a lot of boring crap.
Well, yeah, and they know so much more about them now. It's like back in the 70s and the 80s, nobody would be jumping in this water with them, but they jump in with them all the time. And because they know that they're not going to, go after them because they know how to act. And if you're not on the surface splashing around like an idiot and, displaying the characteristics of a wounded animal, they're not going to attack you.
No.
So,
Yeah. As long as you're not bleeding, it's all good. If you're bleeding, get the hell out of the water.
Get out of the water. Exactly.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to turn this off because it's too much of a distraction.
Yes. Yeah.
There we go.
So, does it get easier? And I'm asking in terms of the sense that you've done quite a few different campaigns now, right? You seem to be getting to your goals faster.
Yeah. We were talking about it the night that we launched number 3. And issue 1 funded in under 47 hours. I don't remember how fast number 2 funded. Number 3 funded in 49 minutes. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's proof that you carve out your little niche in the world of what you're doing, and you build your audience, and you maintain those relationships, and where you go, they will follow.
Yeah, no, I'm learning that right now with the whole freelancing life. Like, it's really about relations. Like, the whole game, when you break it all down, it's your relationships and the ideas you push. That's really all it is.
Yeah.
Right.
As long as you don't go somewhere out with people and do something completely asinine to make an idiot out of yourself, and you act professional and do what you're supposed to do, and produce. You have to produce.
Yes.
The rest of it will take care of itself.
Yes, eventually. Although I'm in that frustrating point because I started my own little enterprise there. It's like I'm getting the nibbles point. It's like, come on, just don't want to. Yeah, I've gotten some clients, which is cool. I'm gonna be working with someone really good this month, and I got something really cool that looks like it's gonna be happening in October. So I'm trying to figure out the next 2 months, like myself, right? And that's just my what I call my freelance struggle, right? Sometimes you October, I'm good. I actually have a steady year-long freelance gig.
That's great.
Right. Yeah, but 2 months, I got to figure it out without resorting to robbing a bank.
You'll get there.
Oh yeah, I think so. I think so. But yeah, I mean, but I mean, you get there. But like you said, there's a process. You build out relationships. You put yourself out there, and you don't stop. And also, I mean, to some degree, I mean, it's an advertising work, like in the sense that you have to always put yourself out there. Not only you must produce, but you also got to say, "Hey, I'm here. I'm doing my thing."
Yeah, and you can't be afraid to jump from one thing right into something else. Don't give the waters time to settle. Just keep plodding forward. Now, obviously, if you need a break, take a break.
Yes.
Like today, I got the pages done last night. We did the podcast last night. We talked backstage for an hour and a half about business. And then, today was, once I got my body going and functioning, went to the gym. I didn't do anything but lay on the hydrotherapy table and just let it work my back out. And I came home and I'm like, okay, well, that's done. This is done. We're not at this here yet. So I've got this small stack of comics that I bought at Gem City that I haven't been able to look at. And I sat down. I did the podcast with Amanda. So I did that for an hour and a half. And then I was just exhausted because I had taken pain medication and it had kicked in, and I was just
yeah.
So I went over and I sat in a rocker with Zombie Tramp. I bought a couple Zombie Tramp trades from Dan, and I fell asleep. And I set my timer because I didn't want to fall asleep, and then Tina and her mother came home, and she yelled down to check on me, and it's just like, okay, so today is like there's kind of nothing to do, but I've got like sitting right here in front of me.
Yeah. That is sophisticated, my friend. That is a sophisticated to-do list.
Yes, so that's what I need, because I'll hang it right here next to me, and I can cross them off with a big fluorescent green Sharpie. And as long as I'm crossing stuff off the list, I know I'm making progress. Basic. We keep it basic here.
So this goes back to my high school days. So I was recommended. I never took this advice quite, but I get it. There's also like a sensation every time you cross something off. It's like, yes, I did something, which builds esteem. It's it builds your confidence, because if you're doing stuff like I mentioned this on my motivation, I think on Friday, like you listen to the voices in your head and you just do those things, whatever those are, right? And what happens is you build your confidence up. Well, if those of you who can't consciously figure out those steps, they're the ones that, like, then you write lists. And then when you write those lists, you cross off. It's like that little dopamine rise, like, hey, I am doing my shit, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
My list is 3. Interview you, put out a new podcast, look at someone's working on a book cover for one of my books, just as a mock-up experiment. So I get to give her that information. Then for the rest of it, I write a novel. That's my day. That's my day.
I mean, I'm sitting here. I've got some ideas in my head for some new stuff. So I've got all kinds of notes. I've got notes in my phone. So I've been jotting stuff down, and I want to sit down and like get something down on paper. More cohesive than just random notes and one-liners. And who knows what that'll turn into. So
yeah, exactly. Because you're technically. I mean, I'm not going to go into too many spoilers, but you're technically done Roadkill Rampage as the first series for sure.
My
right?
part of it's done. Yes, 4 issues. The writing's done. You did the final edits. We okayed it and everything. We're good. So we're just waiting on Adam to finish drawing the rest of 3. He's got 4 pages left or 5 pages left on 3, which he'll be done with by the end of the Kickstarter, and then start on issue 4.
Yeah, and then you'll be like, yes, you just and then you're at that wonderful point of like the hard work's done. I'm not saying like you're still on work on it, but you're at that like, okay, I need now to fill my time with something else because or I'll go crazy.
And there may be more coming. I'll drop that little nugget, but that remains to be seen. So we will, in one way, shape, or form, we might be dabbling our foot back in that little pond.
Oh, there's definitely another story there. I know that. I can think of at least one.
Yeah. There are several stories there.
yeah. I can see. I know what the next story I think of I would tell would be if it was me. But like, it's your baby, it's your universe.
Yeah.
Right. But I will say this, folks. There is a one-liner in issue 4 that actually cracked me up so much. I actually sent it as a note. This might be my favorite line ever.
Oh, what is it? You got to tell me.
It was in the notes actually.
Oh, that's right.
I actually said because I also figured like since I was your editor, if I should also encourage you, not just tell you like, are you sure about this, and this, right? It's like, no, that line I said, I saw that, I put it in my head, it's like, okay, that actually cracked me up. That really, really cracked me up.
It's just fun. I love to write. I don't know. I so much so that I don't know. Drawing has become such a chore because of my body. So who knows? I mean, I'm still going to do pitter patter because I can do that. We've got the tablets now, so we haven't even opened them. So we're gonna get that. Hopefully, I can get to start doing it all digitally, and I can sit on a couch. The nice cushy, comfy couch of the Lazy Boy, and work on that. So, but there's just what's next. Okay, Roadkill Rampage is done. Now what?
Yes, but no, it sounds like actually, yeah. Let's ask that question since we have never asked that question. Did you like writing? Did you stumble into writing because you said because of your body, or is it just have you always had that outlet to write?
Yeah, no, I've always written. I've been writing probably since 13 or 14 years old. Back when I was reading the old Robert E. Howard Conan, the Barbarian novels, and I was wanting, to go down a different path than Robert did with this story or that story.
Yeah.
I would write then, and that's kind of where it started. And then, the superheroes, John Byrne with Alpha Flight, really, really, when he was doing Alpha Flight and Fantastic Four at the same time. And then the stuff that he did on a West Coast Avengers, which you saw in the Wanda and Vision miniseries on Disney Plus. That was all John Byrne. That was all my pivotal years. Right, late junior high, early high school, through high school. So, you know, 13, 14 years old, I've been writing ever since.
Okay.
So 40 years. Yeah.
So now I joke aside about the things cooking up in your noggin a little bit. The truth of the matter is, you got a lot to say. You always do, right?
Yeah.
Um, I'm actually going to ask: have you ever tried doing a novel?
Yes.
How'd it go?
Well, about 100. I got about 110 pages
So
of
30,
a.
40,000 words. It's a small novel.
Yeah, it's basically a Goonies type adventure with kids and vampires. Um,
That
so,
sounds like a lot of fun.
oh, it's fun. It's a ton of fun. It was the first incantation of peanut pudding and jelly, for being honest. It was before I met Tina, um, and I would just come home at night and write, and I was trying to become a better writer and getting my grammar better, and because I wasn't a very good student in school because just my home life wasn't conducive to learning. So I just didn't care. I was just plodding through to get that diploma and get out of high school. Um, I wish I had the fervor then that I do now for learning, for history. I mean, I've always been a huge fan of history, so I always excelled in history. But yeah, I have this insatiable quest for knowledge, and expanding my horizons.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I love to write so much.
No, it's a good reason to write. It's funny. I know on a stream last night, and we were talking about the problems of the United States. I'm not gonna go in like a political downward thing because that's not the point. The point is, history is a wonderful teacher because you can actually see the mistakes that were made in previous generations and watch them repeat. Yeah,
History is a wonderful teacher if they're paying attention,
fair point.
and they're
Fair
not
point.
paying attention,
No, no, by and large, no.
which is why it
But
constantly repeats itself.
yep.
Yeah.
Well, it's okay. So that on that note, I had a theory as to why. But I'm gonna go with my first point to talk about your writing stuff. Then we'll go into that one a little bit.
Okay.
And then here's the thing. What I was gonna say is it's fascinating watching stories of how things unfold. And like you say, you pay attention now, um, right? You've learned from your own history, right? You've decided that you weren't going to be the same guy you were in high school.
Right.
Needless to say, I think, and also I'd go one step further. As someone who has actually edited your work, can right? If I were to give you one piece of advice, whatever you decide to write going forward, I'm not saying don't worry about spelling and grammar because I realize there's a bit of a conscious thing there, but honestly, it's your voice that stands out. Well, there's two things that stand out. The other joke I've noticed is about your work is you have food everywhere, right? You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have food everywhere. But hey, that's part of your charm. But your it's your voice. Every story has been told. It's what makes you distinct that makes a
Well,
great story.
if you think about it, from the dawn of time, when were stories told? They were told around campfires when you were eating food.
Yes, exactly.
So,
Dude, I actually think it's pretty cool.
yeah,
It
I
just
do too. Some people worry too much about it and read way too much into it than they should. So,
the only thing was I gotta say this when I was editing issue 4, it's like you actually made me hungry with that first scene. It's like, God damn it!
Yep. And I did my job
Yeah, exactly.
because that was part of my intention was to whet that palate, but keep you guessing, going, okay, there's something going on here, and it's not what he's showing me.
Uh, see, I see again, knowing history like I do, I knew what you were doing a little bit. I've also like I'm not entirely sure what you're tapping into exactly, like where specifically the specifics are, but I know what you're dabbling in when you give me information like that. It's like, oh, he's playing there.
Yeah,
Okay, cool,
yeah,
right, right. So I know, but you're right. Now, going back to what we said about history, people not learning from it or not paying attention to it. This is what I like in this. This isn't just any generational problem. I think it's just the nature of our medium today.
right.
I read a book series called The Traveler by John 12 Hawks. And one of the things he pointed out is that people forget crises when they're over, and they just move on to the next crisis without actually really thinking about because you get so much information bombarded to us about this information, this crisis, it kind of shuts our brain down.
Yeah,
So we no longer think about the crisis existentials, like what's going on, what's causing that, right? Like Ukraine and Russia isn't new. It's right. In fact, there are other things going on just as currently, but we're
yeah.
paying attention to this one over all the other ones going on right now.
Well,
Why?
we're not paying attention to it in so much as that's what's being fed to us.
Yes,
So
exactly.
that's what's currently on our plate.
Yes. And
Yeah,
the question is, why is that currently on our plate versus some of the other things that are going on right now?
right. So my
Right?
immediate question is always, and you and I have talked about this a few times extensively, is this is what they've put on our plate. My question is, what's going on over there that they're
Yep.
not telling us? Yeah,
No, no, totally. At this point in my life, if they tell me the sky is blue, I look up.
yeah,
Because I'm just at that point in my life where it's just like,
yeah.
it looks blue to me. I suddenly am very worried. Right? It's like, and yes, folks, I am that. I do not like. I am so anti like systems of governance having any integrity at this point. I wouldn't believe them if they told me the forest was on fire. I'd be like, and that's just wouldn't.
Yeah, it's just and they've earned that,
Yeah, they
you
have.
know.
They have,
So
and that's just the reality. But here's the thing: if people younger, well, okay, people younger than me, it's more forgiving because it's their first. It's the first time going through the cycle, and when you see it the first time, it's new and you're learning. It's people your age or older that are still caught in the cycle that I I'm worried about what drugs they're on and what I should avoid because I know it sounds really bad, but it's like I've been around 40 years and I've seen certain patterns over and over again. I can recognize them for what they are.
oh yeah,
So you're older than me. You've seen even more of this pattern than I have. You have your
yeah,
own opinion on how that pattern plays out. And so people older than both of us, you would think.
well, some but there are a great many that are willfully ignorant.
Yes.
There's a gentleman that I work with because I have the part-time driving job. He's 80. He'll be 83 in September. And we shared a car ride from Cincinnati to Columbus, Ohio, on Tuesday, and we talked about everything that was going on. And after agreeing with me on the points that I had made in the conversation at the very beginning, as the conversation continued, he went on to his formulated, regurgitated bullet points that he's fed from the news, that he's fed from all the like-minded people in the office that chirp about it all day long, and he doesn't realize that he's part of he has made his choices, he has made up his mind, good, bad, or indifferent, right, left, up, down, you know, both camps, all camps. You have made up your mind about what the truth is, what the story is, and most people go through life with those thought processes, and the way they consume the world that they don't realize how much they have been conditioned. Trying to choose my words carefully.
Yes.
How much they've been conditioned to basically accept their fate.
Mhm.
You know?
I think it's really interesting. Like the last 2 years for me in particular, right? This is going to sound like a really, really stupid, simple question. Where do my ideas come from? Right? Because I think like we are shaped by our ideas, all of us. Doesn't matter what those ideas are. Like your idea about like the Goonies meet the vampires is a cool idea to be shaped by. That's a really fun thing, right? The fact that we'll probably get into a little bit, we'll bullshit a little bit. Like your Bengals look like they got a really good shot this year. They really do, right?
Well, they're going to need 4 huge breaks like they got off of the playoffs last year.
I don't think they're going to need as many. I don't think they're going to need breaks, but they're not going to need the same breaks this year. They don't need to. They are better matched up against the rest of the division, and also for some reason they have Kansas City's number. So you guys want them.
Well, here's the difference.
Yes.
As amazing as Patrick Mahomes is,
Mm-hmm.
he has been exposed, much like Brady was exposed years ago. If you give him pressure up the middle, he falls apart. Patrick will have a moment in every game where he loses his mojo.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bengals were fortunate enough to identify when that moment was and capitalized on it. Joe Burrow is unconscious. He believes that he could go out there and hang the sun in the sky and go do it. He's Joe Namath. I mean, it's he doesn't sweat the little stuff.
No.
And he's fun. He's confident without being cocky, and he just believes.
Yep.
And Patrick is that way most of the time, but Patrick gets in his head, much like Aaron Rodgers. If Aaron Rodgers is coming from behind in the fourth quarter, don't bet on the Packers.
Oh, never. I don't think you can make the Packers a realistic favorite at this point ever.
No. And he has shown that over the course of the last 10 years. He is not good without a lead. If he doesn't have a lead, he gives in.
Yep.
He's not a grinder.
I think the different. I think I'm only going to push back slightly on your analysis. I do think Mahomes is the type to fight. Just watching what I've seen from him when he has lost, he's not the type to quit. He's always dangerous, and he knows it deep down. Like he's so. I never feel with him. Like I don't feel like he's the type to give up. But where I do agree with you is he overthinks things sometimes, and you can see it.
No, I didn't mean to imply that he gives up. What I was trying to say is he gets into his head too much, and that handcuffs him. So he starts second guessing himself, and that's where he makes mistakes.
Yeah, because the reason I point this out is because I agree with you. Like Roger will give up. Rogers, for all his talent, will give up.
Right.
Mahomes, much like Rodgers, does get in his head because he knows he's so ahead of the curve in terms of everybody else on the field, and he knows it, right? That might be actually a little part of his problem, just a touch, right?
Yeah.
Right. You need that confidence, but you also, I don't know. It's just one of those. That's a balance act. I think everybody has to figure out.
Yeah.
And Mahomes is young, and Mahomes is young enough for sure, where he can fix that. Like I think it's one of those things he might be consciously aware of. It's like taking a bad habit and making it conscious, so that once you make it conscious, you can actually resist the habit.
Yep.
Right. That's how you break a bad habit. You make it conscious. That's way easier said than done. But
it is. It really is.
But that's the step. You make it a conscious habit. Once you make it conscious, you can actually break it. But or you can embed it. That's also how you make a good habit too. You make it conscious, and once you make it conscious, you slowly but surely make it unconscious, and then you just do it all the time.
Right.
But like I said, but here's the thing. Burrow isn't going to get sacked as much this year. That's like he's not going to get sacked as much. I do now, my personal opinion, I feel your team goes out in the second round. I think they play a really tough matchup, unless it's Kansas City. If it's Kansas City, you guys will go on to the championship again.
Buffalo scares me.
Buffalo,
because,
I think it's their time, to be honest.
Yeah, because Buffalo's got all the pieces. They've got the running game. They've got the passing game. They've got the defense. They've definitely got the quarterback. I think it's going to come down to those two, the Bengals and the Bills. And let's. Where's the party? I'm ready.
Yeah, no. Heck, honestly, at that point, if it is Cincinnati and Buffalo in the conference championship, which it might be, I think Denver's definitely scary. I think the Chargers have to be respected. You got a lot of teams that it's going to be really interesting to see who makes it to round 2, because that's going to be 4 really, really good teams. But
yeah, I mean, because everybody got better, even the Raiders. I mean, God, the AFC West.
yeah. No one wants to play that buzzsaw of division, right?
Yeah, I mean that's exactly it. It's a buzzsaw.
Yeah, pick your poison. Hey, the Raiders are the worst ones. Tears in your eyes.
Yeah.
Why? Because they'll beat most teams. They can beat most of and they're quote unquote weak one, and they're gonna resent being called the weak one. So they're gonna go out there and they're gonna have something to prove. And that's the thing. Like, out of all the 4, Kansas City, I think, is the one that's going to probably go down at first and then find their footing and then get that's why I think it's going to happen with Kansas City. I think everyone's caught up with them, and they're going to go they went through it a little bit last year, but I think this year they're going to feel it even more. Yeah. Hey, we're all on the same playing field.
Yep.
Except for maybe Buffalo, where everybody's like, oh. So Josh Allen doesn't have a crazy game because he's still capable of that once in a while. They don't lose.
Miami's going to be interesting too.
Yeah,
that's going to be a circus that's going to be fun to watch.
I think in a car crash popcorn kind of way.
Yeah,
I think car crash pop. I think.
Yep, there'll be a lot of rubberneckers there.
Yeah, they should be a good team. I think I think there's something missing, not on the team, but upstairs. And I'm not sure what it is.
I tell you something else too that I think a lot of people are going to be sleeping on, and it's not surprising people, is the Steelers and their defense, because Brian Flores is now part of that coaching staff.
Yes.
And look out. Brian Flores is with the Steelers' mentality anyway on defense. With Brian Flores there, stirring that pot.
My only thing with Pittsburgh is this: they have to have more than one way to win. That's the only thing about them. In terms of, they have a new quarterback this year. If he's decent, he doesn't. Yeah, good. Yeah, it's going to eventually be one, right?
Right.
If any of the two their choices are decent, they don't need to be great, but decent. They can go very far.
Yeah.
Right? They can go very far with what they got. But if their quarterback, if the best their quarterback can be is mediocre, they're going to be an 8-8 team again. Yeah. Only because they don't have that. Because as good a defense as it is, you have to have something over the top that wins. Especially when you look at the rest of the AFC and you're like, like Lamar and Buffalo, people are sleeping on them. I think they're still a really good team, right? Buffalo is scary. No, the other how do I put this, nightmare, quote unquote, is the car crash is going to be Carolina. That's going to be another car crash to watch.
Yeah, that's going to be beyond a car crash. That's going to be a 18-car pileup.
Popcorn, barbecue, have a beer, watch it burn from a distance, and just wave. I know.
Place your bets on who's going to suck worse.
I still think it's going to be the Jets.
No, I'm talking about the 2 quarterbacks in Carolina.
No, it's going to be. I think Mr. Cleveland. I can't even remember his name right now. Baker
Mayfield. I
think he's going to get the starting job. I think he's better than the. But but that's not exactly a high bar. So I don't know what to expect from Carolina. What I expect is they'll be something. They'll be the Dallas Cowboys of the AFC. That's what I expect.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The exciting thing to me about this coming season is there are so many stories because we've also got Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville, and they've signed a lot of good free agents, and they had a really good draft 2 years in a row, and they've got a real coach now.
Yeah, they have a real coach. I still think they're going to be. I think this year's going to be what they should have been last year.
Right.
The year of them figuring it out. That's what it's going to be. I think you want to play them early. That's that's the thing about them. You got them in the early.
You nailed it on the head. You want to play them early because they're gonna win 7 or 8 games this year, which was great because it's double what they won last year.
I don't know if I see. So my bet with you would be 6. I think this is what I think. I think the first 8 games are going to be mostly losses, but every game they're going to get better.
You know what we should do? You know what we should do?
But yeah,
we should do. You and I. We should have a preseason football show.
Sure.
Where we make predictions, and we keep track of them, and we periodically through the year, like 4 times through the it's quarter way through, we have a show of just a football show.
Sure.
And then at the end, we see, who was right and who was wrong.
We can do that. We totally.
We could even do fantasy football with just the 2 of us playing each other every week.
Yeah, that'd be kind of fun. We could have some fun with that. Sure.
That'd be so much fun.
but here's my bet. I actually make this bet with Jacksonville. I say they win 7 games. That's my bet. They win 7. I think they go 2 and like 7 at the beginning, and then once they get to like week 10, they're gonna go like 5 and 2. And the 2 they lose is gonna be like to the best 2 teams who basically are like, we won with tears in the eyes. I don't want to see you guys again. Yeah. That's what I think is going to happen. I think it's going to take them about 10 games to figure it out. But once they do, yeesh.
Producer C is in the house.
Hey,
here he comes. Where's his chair? He's all. Hang on a second. Hang on.
All right.
We got to get producer C set up.
Okay.
Because if I don't, you'll hear him back here chirping.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. No. Hi, producer C.
He's under the desk right now. He's trying to figure out the best way to get in here.
Yeah. No, but that would be my bet. I would actually take that bet with you. I would go 7 games is what they'd win. You want to go 8? You want to do like a friendly little bet on that? How many games they're going to win?
Yeah, I was going to say 7, but I'll take 8. I think they're going to be a little better than 7.
Yeah. I just think, like I said, you and I, here's the deal. If they figure it out sooner than 10 games, I'm going to be like, Rodney, take my money. Because right, so I'm going to be like, Rodney, take my money. I just think 10's about right. Right? When's or their bye week? When's their bye week? We have to figure that one out.
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah. When they get to their bye week, unless it's really, really, really early, they'll have it. They'll be like, okay, we know what works, we know what doesn't, because that's what they should have been last year. They should have been that team. The team's figuring it out, giving it a legitimate college try, right? And then lose some close games, win some good games, still not be there, but be a good one. And this year, they might have been a playoff team, but so it's going to take them 1 more year to get there. Yep. Okay. Okay. All right. Next year, though, I think they're going to be probably like the best team to watch. Like when he gets around weeks 3 and 4. I don't know about weeks 1, 2, 3, but weeks 3 and 4, weeks 3, 4, and on, they'll be fun to watch because they'll be fun games. Even if they lose, they won't suck.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting football to say the least.
All right, but going back, go forward here. No, we all the idea of like where ideas come from. because it's important. Because again, I've said this: detached from all outcomes. You can do that. You can't really be programmed. You can just be like, I can hope for this,
Right.
but I'm not so in bed with this idea that I'm going to have a meltdown if it doesn't work. Right. So
I used to be like that,
yeah,
but I'm a lot more malleable now than I was before.
we all were like that. I think at one point. I
Yeah.
think in my case, it's just because I'm so openly crazy. I got like younger me, just because I moved so much and seen kind of a lot of different things. You just come to a realization that just there are patterns to everything, and you may not have it all right, but you do see those patterns, right? And but whenever you hit it, you just realize, okay, like how to put this so delicately. What I'm fed on television is by and large bullshit. Most of the media I watch on the internet now is also bullshit. I have to, if I want to know the truth, I have to look myself, and that means I actually have to really, 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 really look. And and that's the other thing. We're not encouraged to really, 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 really look anymore.
No, they don't. Well, George Carlin had said it best, and this was back in the '80s. They want you just smart enough to be able to run the machines and not question what they do.
Yes.
And that's the he couldn't have been more right. Um,
Oh yeah, no, he was
yeah,
way ahead of the curve on that one.
it's oh, I was going to say something. Um, we have to be if you're really interested and really capable of separating yourself from your party and your party's lines of belief, whatever. Um, you have to be. Everybody has to be their own investigative journalist.
Yep.
Because investigative journalism, in my opinion, is kind of dead anymore because all the reporting is agenda driven.
The media is the media is a giant advertising agency, is what it is now, right? So you look at the fact that basically that corporations and government are in bed together. Everybody agrees with that, right? Mostly everybody will acknowledge this. Well, if they're in bed together, well then their arm of communication is the media. That's it. So whereas way back in the day, the media was all about informing the person of the truth. Now it's about informing the person of the agenda.
Right.
There's a difference, right? And whereas reporters way back in the day would often go against outside the system to find that information out there to report to the world, now it's about keeping things as is, whatever that looks like.
Maintaining the status quo.
That's right.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite comics, although he's not a very popular name, Warren Ellis's Transmetropolitan. One of my favorite scenes is actually in volume 4. He's looking at who owns the running mate of the evil bad guy of the series who eventually becomes president, right? He goes, what we're doing here, like he's looking at all these machines. We're running all kinds of data right now. It says, here's the lesson. We're not going to get this answer because we got better tools. We're not going to get the answer because we're cleverer than fuck. No, we're getting this answer because we're actually doing some investigative journalism, and nobody does it anymore. No. That's it. That's what it comes down to. And this was said in 1990 or like early 2000s, maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's the truth.
I've never read that book, so I want to read it.
It's filthy and disgusting and like the first line is up a goddamn mountain. That's all. You're like you will appreciate it's Warren Ellis at his absolute best. It is like. I love Planetary because Planetary is like a homage to all comics I loved as a kid, right? For all its secret archaeology and secret history of the world, right? Planetary is really a love letter to classic comics. That's what Planetary is. Transmetropolitan is Warren Ellis in his midlife giving a shit about the rest of the world.
Yeah, I gotta pick that up.
Yeah. Now everything else he's done lately, not so much a big fan of. But his writing, like that book, is awesome. And also, if we ever get to the point where we need a toll booth, that is how I'm going to give $1 bill to a toll booth guy going forward. You'll see it when you see it. You're gonna be like, When you see it, you'll be like, you look at me. It's like he wouldn't, would he? And then you really think about it. I think he would.
Yes, he would.
He would. He really would. I've become a bit of a monster in my time, but I think you have to be like in this world. You have to be recognized that going once you realize all the things going on in the world, whatever you stand, wherever you believe, whatever you disbelieve, at some point you're going to come to the realization that even with your best guess, you still really don't know. That's the other thing too. When you get older, you realize I think this is how it works, but I really don't have a fucking clue.
Mm-mm.
Right? And that's what happens. You just recognize how much you don't have a clue. Then you come to the next realization is, okay, I don't go all this stuff no more. How can I have fun?
Yeah, because when you boil away all the fat,
Yeah,
there's really nothing you can do about it other than make the conscious decision as to how much you're going to allow it all to affect your daily life.
that's right.
And that's the key to true happiness.
Yes, it is.
Because when California falls into the ocean, yeah, it's going to be tragic and there's going to be a loss of life. And it's going to affect you certain ways because oranges are going to become a lot more expensive. But, if you live east of the Mississippi, how much is it really going to affect your daily life? Other than it being colossally sad.
Yeah.
If an asteroid strikes Indonesia and half the island is obliterated, it's going to be tragic. But there's
nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, there's a shooting at the mall across town. 3 people are killed. It's tragic. It happens every weekend. But unless it directly affects you because it's somebody you know, you decide. You choose how much the Bengals winning the Super Bowl will affect you positively or negatively. You decide how much whatever you hear on the news affects the rest of your evening.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to keep you up at night, or and that's what people don't understand. They get all upset about stupid woke shit or whatever they choose to get excited about, and they don't realize that they're making the choice they don't realize that they're making the conscious decision and allowing themselves to be upset by something that doesn't affect them at all.
Well, I even go one step farther. Sometimes, I personally think one of the big things in your country that I look at and go, ew, is the school shooting issue, right?
Yeah.
Now, on a personal note, do I think something should be done? Absolutely. Do I think people can do something about it? Yes, I do. But not the way we're going about it. The way we're going about it is we're just playing into a party line, right? Basically, as long as the debate is, should we go after guns? What's going to happen is it creates a divide. Some people are going to be like, my Second Amendment, or I like guns, or I don't like guns, and look at this. It will never change. Whereas a smarter approach would be, if we really want to make sure that our kids are safe, we can go after the gun companies. There's less of them than there are guns. So why not deal with?
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
And you did it. I don't even know if you realize that you did it. You brought up the topic of school shootings, and you automatically said gun control.
Yeah.
Taking away the guns. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's right there. They want to take away the guns. No, they don't.
Mm-hmm.
They do not want to take away your guns. They want to put a time period on anybody walking in and buying an assault rifle that has a history of nobody's trying to take your guns.
Exactly.
They want to make it harder for people with mental instability or a criminal record harder to get the gun. Yeah. So it puts a pause on their potential violence or outbreaks. That's all they want to do. But the media will paint it as they're going to take away your guns. They're going to take away your guns. No, they're not. They don't want to take away your guns. They don't want to take your guns. They want to make it harder for the yahoos to get them. That's all they want to do.
Yep.
It's that simple. But that's not ever how it's painted. They concentrate on the bullet points and all the rednecks and all the idiots. They They immediately go to that bullet point because they're incapable of critical thinking.
Yeah.
And they lose their minds.
Yeah. Because it creates, but also it freezes everything.
Yeah.
Because what happens is, but this is also by design, because it freezes everything. Like I said, I mentioned the way I would do it, which is I would be dealing with the gun companies themselves and look at a few other things, because it's an easier thing to manage them than it is to manage everybody. It's just easier, right?
Right.
So that would be how I would do it. Now, right? That's my approach. But regardless of whether you agree with my approach or not, that's not really the point. The fact is, I've offered an alternative. But the moment I say, again, what you said, the moment I mentioned taking guns away or this, I've created a pressure point. This is how advertising works. It creates a pressure point. Suddenly you create a divide. Yes, no, yes, no, yes. And then suddenly we're fighting. And then here's what happens. You get another shooting. Because we didn't deal with the problem at all. We decided to fight amongst each other over.
Yeah. The problems are never dealt with. They're all swept under the rug.
Yeah.
Because, Beyonce crossed the sidewalk in front of a photographer, and everybody forgets and moves on to the next thing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it. And that's what it comes down to, right? And wherever you stand, you stand. I'm not really, again, that's not the point. The point is, if you look at, and that's, I could use anything. There's lots of other problems you can go with. That's just a recent hot button, right? Any hot button, the same thing. They go back to the same. And here's the thing. And here's the mind-boggling thing. I've heard the speech since I was a kid, right? Yep. It's this exact same stuff when I was a kid.
Well, see, on that note, I found Tina's grandmother passed away in 16. And a year later, we were going through her stuff, and I found a flyer about Jimmy Carter. If Jimmy Carter wins the 1980 election, there are going to be used cars on. There are going to be cars on cinder blocks on the White House lawn because he's a hillbilly from Florida, from Georgia. He's going to take away your guns. He's going to do this. He's all the bullet points that they all drudge out during the election years, and it's the same rhetoric that and that was in the 70s. Okay, 50 years ago, 45, 50 years ago. Fast forward to 2022, it's the same thing they do now. Mm-hmm. And it's people don't realize that it's rinse, repeat, because they're not paying attention, because they get caught up in the fervor and they lose sight of everything else that's important. Okay, how do we change it? If we put pressure on the corporations, like you suggested, first thing you have to do is you have to go and you have to check the laws, because if you listen to any of the interviews that anybody had with Eric Snowden, he spent a great deal of time explaining how the governments, the corporations have gotten in bed and how they've washed each other's backs by making what they do, you can't prosecute them for it.
Yeah.
So going after the companies might not work because they've padded themselves against prosecution. So you got to make sure when if that's the hill that you're going to die on, you got to know that going in, or you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
And it's that nefarious and it's that deep, but people don't realize it. They don't have no idea how steep those hills are.
Oh, absolutely. But this is how this is my thinking. Now, again, we agree to disagree, and that's cool. But this is my thinking. If at some point we don't take a stand against these very people, because these are the people, ultimately, regardless of wherever you stand on any of it, it can be guns, it can be pharmaceuticals, it can be any of these things.
Yep.
What needs to be understood about the American society today is there is a bunch of companies that have exploited the American people for a buck, and the government's in on it. Oh, yeah. There's no that like I don't really think you can make an argument against that. So the question is but the thing is, they're a very small group of people. And maybe the law won't prosecute them, but the thing is, if you don't take a stand against these very people somehow, some way, right, they are going to continue to profit off of you.
Right.
And so I'm more of a concept of, okay, if you want to make it harder for the psychopaths to get there, you gotta make it conducive for the company. Companies will do a better job of screening that than actually a government will. Like, to
Right.
be perfectly honest with you.
Right.
So let's give them an incentive to do it one way or the other.
Right.
Right. But if you don't do this now, right, or if you don't do this now, it's going to be harder and longer and more difficult later. And it doesn't matter. Again, we can say guns, we can say pharmaceutical companies, we can say you name it. It doesn't matter. Big tech companies, you could with Facebook and Twitter. It doesn't matter. What
And
matters?
the scary thing is how simple the solution is.
Yeah.
You and I have the power to combat it, and it's really simple.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't buy the product.
Yeah.
Because if you stop and you think about how many companies stopped what they were doing when the woke thing broke a couple years ago, and how they fired people as quick as they could because the woke people were woke and they're going to boycott. That is the only way that you can affect them is by their bottom line. If you stop buying their product, if you're not happy with the way, Procter & Gamble does something because the talcum powder causes uterine cancer, stop buying Procter & Gamble products and they will change.
Oh yeah.
Because they want that money. That's simple. People choose the convenience of freezer food, microwavable, perishable convenience over anything else.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And on that note, I will simply say this: voting with your wallet is the most powerful vote you have.
Because that affects the only thing that matters, the bottom line.
Yeah.
And that is, don't let anybody tell you anything different. Only thing that matters is the bottom line, is money.
Exactly.
The only thing that matters. Your life doesn't matter. Your well-being doesn't matter.
Nope.
Your way of life doesn't matter. The only thing that matters to anybody that's important, that has any sway in this world, is the bottom line, money.
So, going back to 1977, did you ever see the movie The Network?
Yeah.
The World is a Business?
Mm-hmm.
That was right then. Has not changed.
Yeah.
So
if you go back and you research all the people that make money off of wars, war's business. Life is business.
Yes.
Because they get you coming. They're going to get your parents with all these big bills for going to the hospital and having you, and they get you going. Your family's going to have to pay for embalming fluid and a casket that's overpriced and a cement vault puts coffin in and all this shit. They're going to hit you for a $20,000 bill on the way out.
Yes.
So it's all product. It's all consumerism. It's all money from the time you're born to the time you die.
Yep. So on that note, surfing beach, booze. What's your booze of choice, though, Rodney?
Tequila.
Top
shelf, good tequila.
Yeah.
And it's not Patron.
Yeah. Patron gives me a nasty hangover.
Yeah, it's Cabo Wabo. It's 1800 silver. It's those are my two favorites.
Okay, because this is my plan. So next year, I'm probably getting that band. So you might see again. I am a monster. So I'm thinking having a regular horn, but I'm also going to shift it maybe so it actually does ice cream music. Because and you can definitely see me do that. I know you can. You can picture that right now. Right. All right. I'm going to travel the country. And probably meet you at some point in person. Probably just going to maybe bring some of that tequila by. So basically it's like have a good time.
Yeah, you bring that bottle of tequila, we'll go find a dark corner and go crazy. we'll go find that corner booth and get lost.
Yes, pretty much. But here's the deal. I made myself a little promise, and barring me finding the right well, actually, if I do find the right someone, she's probably gonna be as crazy as I am. I actually might be the adult in that relationship. I might actually be the adult. That actually terrifies me because if I'm the adult, we did something wrong.
Somebody's in trouble.
Yes. Oh crap! I'm the adult. Oh no. Right. But I say it like that because. Honestly, man, like once you break it down, like you said, this you choose your own happiness, you choose the life you want to live, and we all do. The one power that has never changed is we all live our best lives. So, if that's the case, I don't know. Living on a beach, fishing, and probably drinking, not necessarily in that order, right? Note to self: don't get drunk before you fish. That could be bad. That could be bad.
Bad combination.
Yeah, it's a bad combination. Have a little drink while you fish. That's good. A little buzz is fine, but whatever. That's it, man. I don't know. I think beyond that, like I don't really need a house. I mean, it's just me. If I have my mystery ice cream truck / van, right, I'll definitely have amusement for like years, watching like grown ass people your age chasing down the ice cream.
I mean, that's the secret, man. And I've said this to anybody for years. If I ever won the lottery, nobody would know it.
Mm-hmm.
2, I would buy a comfortable vehicle, and I would drive from Cincinnati to the West Coast by myself, because I'm okay with solitude, and do that because it's something I've always wanted to do, and wind up in San Diego in time for Comic-Con. Not table, just go as a fan and enjoy it, and then buy that van or that vehicle or whatever and just travel.
Yeah.
Just no strings or chains or anything, and just do what I want when I want with who I want.
Yeah. No, man. Like that's where I'm going towards. Like even like I said, once I get my business really up and going, I can go anywhere I want.
Yeah.
Why would I stay in one space? Like at this point in my life, I don't need to.
If you're not chained down by kids that have to be in school or a house that have to be paid for,
I just do it. Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people that I told in this region that were into comics, and I told them, get the hell out of Cincinnati, go left or go right to one of the coasts. That's where you're going to make it. And they did, and they made it. And they all work for Marvel or DC or whoever. But I couldn't do it because I had obligations. So I told them to do it. And they did it. And that's the thing. It's living life without chains is the goal. And that's just it. Being smart enough to not be affected by the noise and not having any chains. To me, that's just fucking nirvana.
Yes, it is. It's all, hey, listen. All there really is, biblically, there are 3 great joys in life. They say, food in your belly, your first love. These are the greatest joys of your life. Food in your belly, your first love, and God. Some people would argue the third, but the first 2, I don't think anyone would argue with. Life ain't that complicated, really, for what you're going to get enjoyment out of in life. You're just going to do your thing, whatever what I tell people is do what you love with people you love.
Yeah.
Right. That's it. There's nothing else to this life. Everything else is nice. And I mean that. And then it's nice. Maybe I get a house someday. Maybe. I don't. Right now, I don't see the need for it. But maybe someday I do.
Right.
Right.
And something else, too, is that you need to know at only 40 years old is because 40 is a good age because you're old enough to have experiences, but you're young enough to still not have experience enough. You're not the same every 5 years you change.
Yes.
You're not the same person at 40 that you were at 35. You're not going to be the same person at 45 that you are at 40. It happens. It happens to everybody. I've seen it.
Yes.
Over. I'm 54 years old. I'm not the same person I was at 50. Because life life happens and shit
Life.
changes and things evolve. So you have to adapt or die.
Yeah, absolutely. Life has changed.
Yeah.
And I've embraced that my whole life because that is the only thing. If I'm changing, I'm living. If I'm not, I'm dead. And
Right.
I've already learned this a long time ago, right? So it's like I'm going to keep changing and I'm going to keep doing my thing. And I'm probably going to be one of the craziest sons of bitches before I leave this life, just because that, and I'm just going to do whatever it says in here and it says in here, and everything else can be honestly, meh. It's like,
Yeah, and that's the thing. As long as you're not hurting anybody with decisions and choices that you make, say la vie. You know.
that's it. No, that's it. That is it. But I will say this: there is one thing I am going to say to you about something you mentioned earlier, because right, just a touch of bitterness there, a little bit, right? Mr. Rodney, I still think your best years creatively are ahead of you, writing, drawing, whatever. I also think just the way the world is, and this is something I've realized today. I don't necessarily want to work for a publisher or a comic book company, or younger days that might have been a dream, but also knowing what I know now, I don't honestly think I would have been ready for it. Right?
No, I wouldn't have been.
Yeah. So on the one hand, but I do got I think we'll close this. My San Diego Comic-Con experience. So I went there as a guest for 2 days. It was fun. I had so much fun. So I ended up staying at a bread and breakfast that was a block from the beach.
Nice.
Okay. And right beside me was a comic shop. I was already in heaven even before I did the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
yeah. We've been 3 times. And all 3 times we were guests, and the trip was completely paid for by the company that we worked for, with the exception of spending money.
Yeah.
So 97, 98, and 99, we went out all 3 years. We had our business meeting with our client, and then we had 10 days to ourselves. And it was awesome.
Yeah. There are 3 places in the United States I'd love to live in, and San Diego is one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are the other 2?
Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I'd have fun in Vegas, I think. Right? And I'd live in Phoenix again.
Phoenix. Okay.
I'd live in Phoenix again. I enjoyed Phoenix is a lot like Calgary. Like, okay, there are definitely differences in terms of heat and stuff like that. But Phoenix is a lot like Calgary in terms of its mentality. The biggest 2 differences between Calgary and Phoenix is this. As a Canadian, yeah, it was strange. You get used to seeing people just carrying arms normally. Once you get used to it, it's fine. It's totally fine, right? But that was a bit of a culture shock. The other thing, okay, the abundance of grapefruit. You literally can walk down the street in Phoenix, and grapefruit is literally hanging off, depending on what part of the city you're in, everywhere.
Really?
The trees are growing this stuff wild.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's just like, wow.
Huh.
Right. So, I mean, whereas Calgary, I am an hour away. Like, you've seen some pictures of the most gorgeous mountains ever. If I do stay in Canada, I'm going back to those mountains. I've already made this decision. When I got the air, I'll tell you what I'm doing in October. If it works out, I'm going back to those mountains next spring. Because I really, really like those mountains. It's one thing to live near them. It's another thing to wake up in them. They feel so different when you're actually in there.
Yeah.
But that's one difference. One difference number 2, and this one. Some people like it, some people hate it. It's the snow. We get to -40 up here, so it's it's not that ain't for everybody. Yeah. That ain't for everybody.
You can keep that shit.
Yeah. But mentality wise, Calgary's a very friendly place. I'm not gonna say Phoenix is perfect, but it's got a similar mentality by and large, right? Yeah. So if I were to live Calgary South, it would be Phoenix. It's basically, and I like Calgary. I like Calgary as a city. It's got a very friendly vibe to it. It's big enough that's not like Toronto, New York, or LA, where you got to deal with the obnoxiousness of those cities, right? It's not that,
How big of a city is Calgary?
Calgary's got 1 million people, but landmass wise, it is the second largest landmass city on the continent, right behind Denver.
Huh.
It's big. It's big.
Okay.
It's big, but it's not like 1 million people is nothing compared to some of the cities in the states, right? Nothing, but it's big enough where it feels like a city. People are still relatively friendly,
Yeah.
and it's just chill, right?
Okay.
So Phoenix is a little, obviously about 8 million people. It's a little bit bigger in terms of population, but it's got kind of a similar feel and it's got a nice vibe to it. But obviously, my first two choices would be Vegas or San Diego. San Diego being number one.
Number one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Does my thinking make sense to you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've said for years if I and I've said this also for years. If I didn't have things in Cincinnati holding me back the first time we went to San Diego, I wouldn't have come back. I didn't want to come back.
I should have stayed. I had an opportunity. I should have taken it. I didn't realize. I didn't think about it like that because I was going back to work and I was in school in Snowflake, Arizona. It's like I have a girlfriend there. I'm like, okay, I'll go back. But I literally had an offer the day I was going to go. They offered to board me up for a couple more days there. I'm like, I mean, I could have just gone with it and see where it'd take me. I was young enough. It wouldn't have mattered.
Yep.
I'm still right. And I'm like, maybe I should have. Maybe I should. But I do think I do end up back something like that again someday.
Yeah. Yeah. If I ever win the lottery, that's where I'm moving to.
I'll need to win the no stinking lottery. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it as a creative, and I'm gonna make my living doing my own thing. And then when I do that, I'm just gonna go there because I can. Yep. Right? I ain't waiting for no goddamn lottery. I'm doing it myself. Right?
There you go. Good attitude.
Yes. Well, I get that. George Orwell talked about the lottery in 1984, and I always believed him for that. He basically said what the lottery actually sells is hope. It doesn't actually sell whether you win; it sells hope.
Right.
So the way to circumvent the lottery is realize that I have everything I need right now to do anything I can do. I want to do. So
well, yeah. It's funny that you say that because Tina and I had this conversation. Sunday night, we were driving home from the convention. We stopped and had a pizza at a pizza joint. And the most basic thing in life that people don't realize is despite what religious beliefs you have, what side of the aisle you're on, the power for happiness, fulfillment, and achievement lies within you.
Yes, it does.
You are your own God. You are your own text. You are your own owner's manual to the truth, the path of enlightenment, the path of achievement, the path to ninjadom, to samurai sword. The answers are all in here. You don't need to look outward what you think you need because everything you need is in here. And you're conditioned to think that it's out there, so you spend the money to try to find it out there. When it's really for every living being, the power is in here.
The biggest compliment I ever got from one of my friends is he basically said, "You are the closest thing." Like, because I read Green Lantern, I'm a big Green Lantern fan. He goes, "You are the closest thing to Green Lantern I've ever seen. You just you almost like you will shit into existence, right?" And I just want things to happen. I know what I want, and I go, and I'm like an arrow. This life requires a degree of relentlessness. You gotta be willing to take some hard hits, but assuming you're willing to take the punches, you're gonna get what you want.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who it is, what it is, how it is. You're gonna get what you want.
Yeah, and here's something else to think about too. There are so many people out there that want, and they're terrified to try.
Yeah.
So the fact that we do what we do tells you how freaking courageous we are.
Yeah.
Because good, bad, or indifferent, we're trying.
My favorite try story. I accidentally got I got traditionally published by accident because I went and did something. Right. Yep. So I put a story out there. A person bought it at the right time. She liked it so much. She asked me what I was going to do with it. And when I told her, She goes, oh, well, I just signed a deal with this company. I'm starting a publishing business. I'll publish your book. And all because it was out there. The opportunity was out there. It existed, and I created that moment, right? Some could say I lucked into it. Hey, I'm not even gonna argue
it's
that
not
point.
luck. It's opportunity met preparation.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the key.
Yeah.
If you're always prepared and you stumble upon opportunity, you're going to succeed.
Yeah. Whereas it's like for me, what I'm trying to do right now, right? We're always trying to, like, you're trying to get a Kickstarter off the ground. Even it worked, but even if it hadn't, you would have found another way to succeed, right? You would have found another way because that's just it. Like when I do my first Kickstarters, which are going to be novels and my own drawn thing, I'm not going to succeed, right? Right? But I'm going to try. And what I've learned in this life is one very simple. People are often looking for esteem or purpose or motivation. The real secret, folks, is this: do the thing you're supposed to do. Thing you feel on the inside, like that thing you dream of.
Yep.
Make it happen. Whatever that looks like. It doesn't matter what anybody else sees. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It's about what you think. It's about what you go for.
Yeah.
Right? Happiness, true happiness, it comes from within. And the only way you're going to get that is by knowing what you're capable of. And the only way you're going to do that is by do the things. Most people settle. So that's it, really.
And I think that's why I was so depressed when my studio fell apart in the 90s. And, because all the guys grew up and got married, went and had families, and all moved apart and gave up on the dream of doing the business. I didn't, but I had nobody else to do it with. And, I not realizing that I could do it by myself. Well, not really. I mean, I still needed somebody. But it's that tenacity to not give up, to continue trying. Because it was only when I was by myself that I went to Chicago Comic-Con by myself with a buddy of mine, not my mates from the studio, and I got the gig on G.I. Joe by myself. So yeah,
there
you have the power.
We always do. Mr. Rodney, I always enjoy our chats, but we've gone above and beyond. Yeah.
It's always we always go really deep.
Yes. I think it's because I enjoy the deep conversations, and I think deep down you do too.
And I don't get them enough.
Yeah. No. And I don't got time for bullshit. So let's get to the real shit. That's basically it. That's it. That's all there really is to it. And I feel like you're in the same boat. It's like, I don't got time for this. You got something worth saying, or don't you?
Right.
And if you don't, right. And, and by the way, and the folks watching and or listening, it's not necessarily about saying anything. It's just don't waste people's time. You don't need to be anything other than what you are. And as long as you're that, you will never be a waste of anyone's time.
Right.
And if anyone says otherwise, fuck them.
Yeah, exactly. Have something to say. Time is money.
Yeah. So, on that note, you do got a Kickstarter, don't you?
We do. Yes.
So how much longer is it going on?
We've got 19 days left. So everybody go to Kickstarter and look up Roadkill Rampage 3. We are currently at $3,100, almost $3,200. It's a horde.
You don't even want to know what that is in Canadian money right now. It makes me cry just a touch. So you're at $4,000 Canadian right now.
There you go.
Yeah, you're at $4,000 Canadian as it stands right now. So I'm gonna do the right thing here. So
there we go.
This is Roadkill Rampage number 3. I've read the issue. It is a very solid, fun outing featuring a very talented writer in his own right, going down the deep, dark roads of roadkill and rampaging. That's a halfway professional thing, halfway professional review. The honest truth is this is the penultimate issue of the series. Things get revealed. It is creepy. It is dark. It is fun, right? And it's Rodney Fyke coming out as a writer and doing a fantastic job. Now, on a personal, completely non-biased note, I do like issue 4 a little bit better, right? Non-biased. I mean, I may have had something or nothing to do with it. Not at all. I had nothing to do with it.
I like it better too.
Yeah.
Can't wait to get to it.
No. Yeah. When you do get to 4, we got to do 2. We got to do come back for like the actual Kickstarter. But what I would really like to do with you for a final, like down the road, I'm not going to, I can't say much. The ending Rodney originally told me about and the ending he actually went with were very, very different. And I think that thought process is fascinating to explore. I would love to.
It was Tina's fault. It was her idea.
Yeah, no, maybe. But I actually like the ending, right? I like the ending. Hopefully, I made it better. That's so used to it. That was that as the editor. That was like, let's make it the best we can possibly do, right? And hopefully, I added to that. But it was a really cool idea. I would like when Roadkill Rampage 4 is done, I'd like you to come back and go, okay, let's actually talk about this, because we talked a little bit about this when I did the job. But I think that is such a. It's interesting you lean so heavily there. But like I said, guys, the payoff's worth it. This is actually the night. This is a beautiful setup to what's coming, and it's also a great issue. Go check that out right now. And finally, I will make videos for you for a bunch of different things. I have an advertising service. I will make videos. I will do audio, video, words, and graphics about your project and yourself. I'll create assets so you can highlight the best version of you and the best version of your project. If you want to check that out, you can do so right now. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the one and only Rodney Fyke. He is always a pleasure to come onto the show, right? And we'll see it. We'll see it. So next time, do you actually want to do a football show?
Absolutely. I'm dead serious. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. So when's the preseason? When does it start?
A couple weeks, the first preseason games. Yeah.
So how about we do? We'll talk.
September. End of August. First week of September.
Okay. Yeah. We'll talk about it off the air. We'll do that. We'll come back. We will do a football special. We will actually go. Yeah, unfortunately, the AFC is going to be way more interesting than the NFC, I think. But that's but we'll definitely we'll do it. We'll do it. But for everybody watching, everybody listening, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Stay inspired. Keep shining in the dark, and I'll see you guys next time.